The American Inns of Court is the fastest growing legal institution in this country. It has enjoyed that growth because it responds to a large need out across the country.
The challenge that the American Inns of Court has taken up is how to teach lawyers and judges how to do it the right way.
You have some of the best minds in every legal community teaching things the law schools don't teach, which is the nitty-gritty of practice today, but with a significant emphasis on civility, professionalism, and ethics.
It has allowed me, I think, to grow and mature professionally in a way that I could never have imagined before.
If you're thinking about starting a local chapter of the American Inns of Court, do it. That's the best advice I can give you to anybody. You'll find it one of the most rewarding experiences of your entire life, certainly of your professional career.
Rising to higher levels of integrity in the legal profession, creating a deeper sense of professionalism among lawyers and judges, and building a keener sense of ethics. These are the worthy goals of the American Inns of Court. The American Inns of Court are patterned after the English model, which dates back to the 13th century. Begun more than 20 years ago by distinguished judges and lawyers in the United States, this national movement is committed to reclaiming a noble profession. It's accomplishing that at the local level by creating a forum in which members can learn from experienced judges and lawyers, seasoned practitioners like you. An American Inn of Court is much more than a fraternal order. Its structure elevates it far above a standard CLE program. And although a local inn places a great deal of emphasis on interaction between members, it shouldn't be considered as just being a social club. An inn does share certain characteristics with these types of groups, but the concept behind it is very different. What makes the American Inns of Court unique is how its members, who come from different segments of the legal profession, interact with one another. They do this with a common resolve: to reclaim a noble profession. Those who belong to an inn strive to constantly enhance the practice of law in general and their level of professionalism in particular. By far the majority of inns are doing that by focusing on issues surrounding civil litigation practice. However, some inns concentrate on more specialized areas like intellectual property law, bankruptcy law, and family law. The membership of an American Inn of Court is comprised of several distinct categories. These encompass masters of the bench, barristers, associates, and pupils. In your role as a judge, or as an experienced attorney, or as a law professor who's demonstrated superior character, ability, and competence as an advocate, you'd be considered a master of the bench.
The American Inns of Court compact that hierarchy and put judges and senior litigators and younger litigators and people fresh out of law school or relatively new in the profession. It doesn't make them equals, but it breaks down the barriers between them. Young lawyers see judges as human beings. Young lawyers get to talk to judges and ask them questions and see how they think in a way that could never occur in the courtroom.
Each local inn meets at least 6 times a year. During those gatherings, important themes relating to practical legal skills are discussed, with an emphasis on ethics, civility, and professionalism.
The rapport and camaraderie within our chapter, I think, is very good. We meet monthly. When we meet, sometimes we sit in reserved seating with our pupillage groups, and other times we just sit on a more random basis. And just by having an informal discussion with members of the inn, planning programs for the inn, having pupillage group meetings on other occasions, it has allowed me to get to know many members and to understand sort of what's important to them.
Mentoring is a key aspect of the American Inns of Court. For instance, in many inns, during meetings and at other times throughout the year, each barrister, associate, and pupil is assigned to work with a master. In other inns, mentoring is done on a more informal basis.
I think that mentoring is one of the single most valuable things that the inns do. It just allows a young lawyer to have access to a wealth, to a storehouse of information, knowledge, and experience, to tap that storehouse for free, almost whenever the need arises, and to learn from that storehouse in a private, one-on-one, non-embarrassing, non-judgmental situation.
Although part of a national organization, each American Inn of Court is begun at the local level. This type of initiative is undertaken by highly experienced judges, attorneys, and law professors, individuals like yourself, who want to make a meaningful contribution to their profession and who feel a need to improve the practice of law in their communities.
We're encouraging people to form local inns, but we can't create local inns from the national level. They have to be created locally. It's a local product, it's a local plant, and it's homegrown, and we can't do it from Washington.
The American Inns of Court draws its great strength from the fact that it is there to encourage local inns. And so whether you're a federal appellate judge or a lawyer just starting out in a solo practice or a student in the law school, you are joined together in a group that meets on its local ground, addresses issues of local interest, though they may be issues that have national importance. You are essentially seen and working in the locality where the law is on the streets, and that is as it should be.
Although each chapter is organized locally, a considerable amount of assistance is readily available from the American Inns of Court National Office, located in Alexandria, Virginia.
When I was starting a chapter in Pittsburgh, I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what the first step was. And I can't tell you how many phone calls I made to Don Stumbaugh and others in Washington, and how many times they sent me Federal Express packages with informational packets, how to get an inn going, what the inns was all about, to teach me, to educate me, and for me in turn to teach other members of my community. I wouldn't hesitate to call and ask any member of the foundation for assistance. And what I have found consistently over the period of several years that I've been involved in this organization is that you get a prompt and very efficient response almost immediately.
Since the mid-1980s, the American Inns of Court has experienced tremendous growth. But to achieve the aim of reclaiming a noble profession, more local inns are needed throughout the United States.
And I can remember sitting down at a table with about 5 or 6 of the lawyers and judges in my community that I respect the most. And when I saw who was sitting at the table, I realized we could do this. And so for me, it was an inspiration more than it was a job. And it was from that small group then that we reached out to the national inns to ask for some help. And in almost, I think it was about a year, we were off and running with a charter.
It's not that hard to start an American Inn of Court. It may seem daunting when you first look at it, but there are a lot of people who can help you, who want to help you. And if you have the drive in your heart to want to contribute something and give back to the profession, the staff and everybody involved in the movement is there to lend a hand.
The American Inns of Court National Office can provide you with all the information needed to organize a local inn. Its publication, Creating an American Inn of Court, is a step-by-step guide for starting an inn. It's designed to lead you through every aspect, from applying for a charter to electing officers. Once your inn has been granted a charter, further materials will follow. For example, the Officer's Manual provides a comprehensive explanation of how to operate an inn. This booklet offers essential details about the leadership structure, scope of membership, meetings, programs, dues, as well as services and benefits. Organizing a local inn is an effective method for improving the legal profession in your community. It's a means for enhancing ethics, civility, professionalism, and excellence among practitioners. And it's a way for you to give something back to your profession, something that will have a lasting impact on those who follow in your footsteps.